It's been a couple fucking days. The day I was going to record my second video for this, fucking got called into work. Came home, my light was all fucked up because techno problems. Took a couple days to fix that, and I can't record in a dark room. Not good for your eyes. Then, right as I was about to sit down recording my shit, guess what happens? It's something good this time. My new computer came in. So, I set that up, and here, I got a picture of this. Shit, you can't see it too good. Fuck. But anyways, yeah, fuck, you can't see part. But I got the Alienware Aurora R5, or whatever it's called. Its full name is. I can't remember. But got it. Had it set up. Now, it set up fine. Only took like a minute to plug everything in and get going. What took a couple days was getting my Camtasia working. Because for some reason I'm on Gmail now, but my actual Camtasia password and stuff was on fucking Yahoo. And for some reason I couldn't log into Yahoo. So I couldn't get my fucking Camtasia CD key. So it took like 2 days of talking with Camtasia to try to get my CD key back. And it's do that. So, I had to download that, had to download XSplit again, had to download all that stuff. So the reason why this took so long was it took fucking 3 to 4 days to get everything back working. Gotta get a new light, gotta get my CD key for Camtasia back, fucking all this shit. Whatever. Fuck it, it's back, it's time, let's let the fuck.
So for now, the stable was sealing itself up again. The ponies of Stable 2 needed time to process and cope with the trauma. They needed time to clean the stable and rebuild their lives. They wouldn't be able to forget. And
But they're
part of me
leaving.
thought that was good, as it would prevent them from losing sight of what they owed and the changes that needed to be made. God's patient, Blackwing commented. But you've got other problems. Only way to ferry the orchard to Shatterhoof is by rail, and those tracks pass through New Appaloosa. Crap. That's right. We'll work something out, I assured her. But I've got to deal with Red Eye first. I sounded more confident than I felt. But Calamity's words had reminded me that while there might be questionable or even downright villainous ponies in the high places of New Appaloosa, the bulk of the townsfolk were good ponies. Hell, Ditsy-Doo lived there. The thought of the Ghoul Pegasus brought up another responsibility. I had to find a way to thank her. We all owed her our lives. Without those stealth bucks, which she had given freely to aid Blackwing in saving the ponies of my home. I moved away from the edge of the Sky Bandit as Blackwing veered off, the other griffins following closely. Butcher blew a kiss in our direction. I think it was for Steelhooves, but I had no idea why. Maybe just a camaraderie that comes with a mutual love of excessive firepower. Calamity
The
winged us
world
in
may
the other
never
direction.
know.
This won't take long, I assured Steelhooves and the outcasts. There's one giant cloud of scary black smoke, Calamity commented as we approached his shack. The smoke from the Everfree Forest fires had tinted the air an angry salmon hue. Calamity's shack, nestled halfway up a rugged plateau, was slightly closer to New Appaloosa than it was the closest border of the Everfree Forest. But while it was nowhere near the fires, the prevailing winds were blowing the smoke for miles. I'd come accustomed to the strange, sickly quality of the air outside, but Scootaloo's Pip-Bug message brought back memories. That first morning in the Equestrian wasteland, how the sheer oddness of it struck me. This was altogether different. I could smell unnatural odors riding in the smoke. I could taste something pungently bittersweet with each breath. Should we be breathing this? I asked Velvet Remedy. I was reminded of the dangers of working
Well,
in
I mean,
hairspray
what else are you
incinerator
going to do?
pits.
It's not like you have air breathers
Did any pony know
or
what
gas
nastiness the
masks.
smoke of the Everfree Forest might carry with it? I suddenly envied the Steel Rangers, outcasts or otherwise, for the rebreathers built in their armored suits. Probably not, Velvet Remedy said, doing absolutely nothing to assuage my fears. The cliffs around the shack were precarious with no safe path to ascend, and no outcropping to land the passenger wagon. It was, after all, a home for a Pegasus. Calamity was forced to land at the base of the cliffs. After brief discussion, it was suggested that Calamity and I would go up alone. Oh no, Velvet Remedy put her hoof down. You did not bring us all the way here, Calamity, to your own home, only to not let me see it.
Yes. Yes, he
Calamity
did.
nickered, looking apprehensive and a bit embarrassed.
He hasn't
Come
cleaned
on
up.
now,
There's
Velvet
McDonald's
purred.
everywhere.
I showed you mine, now you show me yours. I tried very hard to think of other things. Tell you what, I'll levitate myself up there while you two fly up. Can you do that, little Pip? Levitate yourself that far, I mean. To be honest, I wasn't sure. Self-levitation had always been the hardest trick. I wanted to give it a try, but I didn't want to suffer the fall if I failed. Be you ready to catch me? I asked meekly. Calamity nodded, stretching out his wings confidently. Somewhere behind me, I heard Zenith ask some pony. Why do they not just make 2 trips? I looked up, pointing my horn towards the shack, and swallowed nervously.
It's a good question.
It was very high.
Why don't they just make 2 trips?
My horn began to glow. Focusing, I enveloped
Oh
my
God,
body
you're
with
not
a
going to
magical
answer
field
that question,
and
are
pushed
you?
off from the ground. I had done this much before, but just as in the pit, my ascent had begun to slow rapidly. I focused harder and tried to pull myself upwards. I was still slowing. I concentrated, sweat beading on my forehead and running down my neck. An overglow flared around my horn, casting reflections off the cliff rocks. I stopped slowing. I was doing it. I was pulling myself through the air. I was pushing exhaustion. The effort was almost painful, but I was doing it. I was flying. I lay on the little strip of wood that amounted to Calamity's front porch, panting heavily. My legs didn't want to hold me up. Oh, they could if I asked, but they didn't want to. It was worth it, though. For just a little bit, I was actually flying.
God, Lil Pip, you are
It
such a
had not
nerd.
been a graceful act of freedom, as I was neither Pegasus nor a bird. It had been work, like galloping uphill against the wind. But I had done it, and for a moment, all the horrors and pain of the last few days was forgotten in the rush and exertion. I wondered how long it would take Calamity to fly up here with the Velvet Remedy. Not long, my mind answered swiftly.
They're already
fact,
inside.
I was surprised they weren't already here. I remembered that I still had a memory orb from one of the safes in the Philadelphia Ministry of Magic vault. The orb from the safe which had also held a cloak.
Don't roll
Judging
over
from
and
Zenith's
fall
reaction
off the cliff.
and recent Griffin-related experience, I deduced that it had been a zebra stealth cloak. I decided abruptly that I didn't want to spend the wait laying sweaty and wiped on Calamity's porch. So I floated out the memory orb and focused on it. Immediately, I knew it was a mistake, remembering that the orb had come from a ruined box and was likely damaged itself. But it was too late. My body exploded, every nerve being flayed as I was burned over and over without dying. I knew my real body must be screaming and thrashing, but the pain was too intense to even fear for my safety. In fact, falling from the cliffside and being dashed on the ground below would have been a mercy. 1,000 white-hot knives sliced through my brain. An eye blink, or an eternity later, the pain stopped as abruptly as it had started, and I was no longer myself. I wasn't even a pony. This was a familiar strangeness, and I could feel the cloak draped about me, the hood over my mane and ears, as well as a saddle pouch and something strapped to my side. This was too familiar. I was invisible again, a fact all too easy to glean as I watched a stallion admiring himself in a mirror which should have also reflected my host from this angle, but did not. My host was a zebra in a stealth cloak, possibly the same one as before. If you won't accept my offer, then you should at least consider availing yourself of the good fortune that I am willing to pose for your new publication, the stallion suggested as he preened himself. He was a regal, haughty white unicorn, quite handsome in his elder years. I am, after all, the best pony. Hardly, intoned an elegant voice which could only belong to rarity. If the stallion had noticed the slightly disparaging tone, he showed no indication of comprehending it. There is no place for grandstanding or glory hounds in the Ministry of Image. Our purpose here is to help the client shine all across Equestria, not ourselves. And our client is all of Equestria itself. We should remain invisible. With a politely sweet tone, she encouraged, Perhaps you should try the Ministry of Awesome. We were in an office, a rather nice one at that, with elegant curtains and golden trim on the wainscoting. It certainly lacked the humbleness I had come to expect from a Ministry of Image building, which told me this was no MI hub, but the Ministry's headquarters in Ministry Walk in Canterlot, the one place where even the Ministry of Image would have to maintain an image. That's easy for you to say. The stallion frowned. You're already in charge of one of the most important
that voice just doesn't fit Blue Blood. He needs to be more whiny. He needs to be more whiny, damn it!
branches of Princess Luna's new government. You are already in position far beyond your wildest peasant dreams. Wow. I was quickly forming a rather strong dislike for this buck. Rarity's riposte was controlled, calm, even charming. Humility was a lesson hard learned. In fact, it's called maturing, something which, sadly, you seem to have had little acquaintance with. This is some sort of revenge, isn't it? Amazingly, the stallion still hadn't bothered to glance at the beautiful mare he was talking to. If he was the subject of my host's surveillance, then the magical cloak seemed superfluous. A lady is not vengeful, Rarity informed him with a refined tone. But you're not a lady, the stallion replied thoughtlessly. You are a government official. I wanted to deck him.
That hurts so far.
You are quite fortunate that I am a lady, Rarity responded, her voice lowering. And
like, I don't even like Rarity, but damn!
I had no idea what cake had to do with this conversation, but at least my host finally turned her attention to the gorgeous white unicorn. Again, she looked younger than I would have expected, and there was no gray in her hair. She really knows how to take good care of herself, I thought admiringly. I bet she dyes her mane. And I am a prince, the stallion informed her, finally deigning to turn his gaze away from himself and towards the mare he was addressing. Proposal? Really? Rarity rolled her eyes. I have long operated under the assumption that your lineage was a joke perpetrated by Princess Celestia on... She paused thoughtfully before concluding. Any pony who ever met you. Rarity's horn glowed. If you were to accept my proposal, then you would be a princess, the prince continued obliviously. Oh goddesses, fuck me in a three-way. This jerk actually proposed to Rarity? That's what he meant by accepting.
You say that like it's a bad thing, but we all know you would enjoy it, little Pip. Don't you fucking... Why you use that like that? You know you'd like it. Okay, so that's... I don't understand those kinds of... It's 12 o'clock at night, so my brain is dying. So, I'm normally bad with words, but I'm going to forget a lot more right now. It is 11:38. So, fucking words are going to fail me. Just, I want you to keep that in mind. Also, fucking Blue Blood proposing to Rarity. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm totally behind the whole genuine idiot Blue Blood. But it's also nice on the stories on occasions where he's a bit more than... Not like malevolent, because, you know, then it's just grating and annoying that fucking idiot would be even closer to a competent villain. But I do enjoy the stories where he gets some actual character development. But, you know, I'm fine with him being a fucking dumbass, but still. That takes a whole new level of idiot.
His offer. A proposal isn't an offer. It's a request. Rarity glanced around, then sighed. Yes, and you would gain a hoof in one of the most powerful ministries in Equestria. Or at least that would be what you seem to think. She looked askance. I cannot imagine any world where that would be worth it. The prince huffed. You speak as if I'm not sacrificing greatly myself in this arrangement. As your husband, I would almost certainly be expected to have relations with you.
He's gay. Just calling it right there. That line just makes me think, okay, he is gay, and he doesn't like girls, like, at all. Not even friendly. That's what that line makes me think.
Believable. I focused, trying to make my host run over and buck him through sheer force of will. Rarity stared silently. Her eyes slowly narrowed. Her horn briefly glowed again. This conversation is over, Prince Blueblood. It's time for you to leave. If you have any further business, please address it to any pony other than me. Your presence causes me physical pain. I'm a prince, and a member in high standing in the courts of Canterlot. You would do well to... But I don't want to, Rarity interrupted. I don't like you. In fact, I find you quite horrid. I despise that my position requires me to acknowledge your existence, and, much worse, give you the occasional time of the day. But that time has come to a close. Goodbye. Prince Blueblood huffed, standing tall. You have no place to complain. It is I who should... Oh, I'm not complaining. Rarity's eyes narrowed dangerously. I'm whining. If I was complaining, it would suggest there is a higher authority to complain to. But there is not. I am the highest authority within this ministry. Observe. Rarity trotted to her desk and pushed a button with her hoof. Oh, guards. She turned to smile at the unicorn stallion as the double doors at the end of the room swung open, and 2 guard ponies appeared. Prince Blueblood backpedaled, startled. Please escort the prince off the property. If he resists, arrest him. I would have enjoyed the show had my host not backed away, heart beating slightly faster. She turned our head, and I felt my teeth biting down on the object strapped to her side. It was the hilt of a sheathed blade, and the zebra silently drew it. The guards did as the ministry mayor requested. Prince Blueblood showed enough intelligence to not resist. I had hoped that once they were gone, my host would resheath her blade, but the zebra clearly had other plans. We were alone in Rarity's office, and she couldn't see us. Unbelievable, she nickered, echoing my previous thought. The elder unicorn had her back to us, her head lowered as she focused on something on her desk as my host began to creep closer. No, I tried to shout out a warning. The zebra turned her head, aiming the blade for the back of Rarity's neck, right in the lush of her mane. I could feel my host tense for the strike. Rarity shifted slightly, her horn glowing as one of the gems on the front of her desk slid aside, revealing a secret lock that demanded her attention. Please, no. I felt something shift in the zebra's saddle pouch. A new weight. Suddenly, frantically, my host backed up. I heard the detonation, felt a brutal pressure and a searing pain. Then nothing. My host fell, unmoving save for a twitching she could barely feel. It was as if her entire body had gone numb. Simply unbelievable, reiterated Rarity as she elegantly turned, staring at where we had collapsed invisibly on the floor. I heard more than felt the cloak being pulled off of my host, glowing in a blue magical field that mirrored the soft light tracing the spirals around Rarity's horn. The moment it was removed, both the cloak and my host became visible. Rarity paid us no attention, floating the cloak to her and flipping through the rough fabric until she found the gemstone clasp. There you are, my pretty, she said, telekinetically ripping the gemstone free, breaking the clasp in the process. Oh, don't you have some interesting magic? She said as she appraised the gem, tossing the rest of the cloak aside. Twy will love taking a closer look at you. I realized I was seeing the inception of stealth bucks. I recalled a message I had found in a recruitment center. Intelligence suggested that the zebras had developed invisibility spell fetishes, but this looks like something designed by the Ministry of Magic. In the pervading paranoia of late wartime Equestria, some pony had feared the worst, not knowing what Twilight Sparkle knew. But the zebras hadn't gotten this magic from us. We had gotten it from them. The long, wicked blade lay on the carpet where it had fallen, close, yet impossibly out of reach. My host tried to move towards it, but her body wouldn't respond. I slipped a stun grenade into your saddle pouch, Rarity informed us, moving the gemstone out of sight.
Okay, I was worried there for a second. I thought an actual grenade had gone off, and that poor zebra was lying there in horrible agony and in shock, while Rarity just fiddled around with this gem. Imagine, here's what I saw in my head. I imagine this viscerated, maimed, and mangled zebra, vibrating at the last light last breaths of life coming out of her as she tries to reach for this thing as blood and gore everywhere. And Rarity's just sitting at her desk looking at a little fucking gemstone. That's what I saw in my head. But apparently it was just a stun grenade. Rarity is not a psychopath yet. Okay. Woo. K-Cat, good mislead there. I thought we had Necromancer Rarity who already like sold her soul to the dark gods or something. Like I had a much darker scene playing out in my head.
Right. I like to think I'm rather expert at manipulating cloth, even if I can't see it. The zebra shuffled closer to the blade. Really? Rarity said with a ladylike scoff. She floated the blade away, turning a disdainful gaze on us. A zebra assassin attempted to infiltrate my office and murder me while concealed under a cloak with an enchanted gemstone. She leaned closer.
Could
I'd
have thought
explain
that
how
out
I got
better.
my cue mark, but it wouldn't do you any good where you're going. Another cocoon of blue light wrapped around a headset on her desk and floated it over her head, gently sliding it into place around her ears and muzzle. Although, I do have to wonder, were you trying to assassinate one of Nightmare Moon's cabinet? She asked, turning her tail to us as she slid open the hidden compartment in her desk. Or were you after this? Rarity cantered to face us. Floating in front of her was a powerful, dark tome bound in twisted black hide. The moment I saw the book, I knew it held so many secrets. So many things just waiting for me to unlock. If I could only look at the pages. Well, I suppose we'll find out, won't we? Rarity promised. She lifted a hoof to the headset, her expression instantly changing to one of barely bridled joy. Oh, Pinkie Pie, this is Rarity. I've got a present for you. She smiled. You'll love this one. I came to on a worn, musty cot in Calamity's shack.
Okay, so here's something about like fantasy tomes of evil darkness and other MacGuffins of badness. Why is the solution when they're first found to not just like that? Usually, some evil guy makes them, but the evil guy gets defeated, and the good guys have this. Why is it never to just destroy it? Like they usually hide away, like in case like this with the book. The zebras know it's bad, but she got it, I assume, from zebras are around zebra areas and stuff. So why didn't the zebras, when they get it, just burn the book? Like in a campaign where the GM, I was in a campaign. It was the Master's Vaults campaign. Well, it's a module, but it was made into a campaign by our GM. Anyways, we got the orb of, I forget its name. It's fucking Necromancer orb thing. Anyways, we got it, and now we have to destroy it. So, being a rather sensible dwarf, I asked for the orb to inspect it, as a proper dwarf should, from our wizard. I placed it on the floor, and I smashed it with a hammer. Campaign over. Victory is ours. Like, why don't you ever do... And like with this book, why don't you just burn it? Okay, Rarity wouldn't burn it because she... she's kind of crazy and going on the path of fabulous necromancy. But, like, the zebras who clearly hid that thing away or tried to get rid of it, why didn't they just burn the fucking thing? I don't know. Or if they can't burn it because it's this indestructible, why not have a pocket dimension and put it away there? Or use because transmorphic... it's in, like, Season 3 with Too Many Pinkie Pies, where Twilight's learning how to change, like, matter substitution and changing. Turn the fucking book into an orange. No, wait, fuck. Someone might try to eat it and it'll become evil. Oh, I'm sure there are solutions.
Velvet Remedy was laying on the floor, panting and soaked in sweat. Calamity himself stood towering over me, shadowed from the light coming through the window over the workbench behind him. What happened, little Pip? Where? I blinked, looking around. What? You made it all the way up, Calamity asserted. I saw you do it. But we were most of the way up here when you screamed, thrashing like you were on fire, and flung yourself from the porch. I fell? My eyes went wide. I turned, looking around. The door to the shack was open. I blinked as the image of the black book swam in front of me, much like having turned away after staring at a bright light and seeing the shape of the light dance before your eyes. But nothing in a visited memory had ever left such an imprint outside of the experience. I blinked, clearing my vision. I could see the porch where I had been laying.
It's one of the 9 books from the Gash. Ooh. Like, I'm reading a Warhammer fantasy story, and fucking one of the 9 books in the Gas came up. I'm like, oh, Rarity, you are fucked. Like, what if that's what it actually is? Because it seems like this book is playing a bigger part and stuff. More than I actually thought it would. Shame on me. Clearly my role-playing and genre savviness for fantasy worlds has failed me. Because when a big black tome of necromancy made a brief mention, I should have known it was going to come back. That's my fault. I should have realized that. Clear this. So this it came back a second time, and somehow it transcended the orb to burrow itself into Lil Pip's head, whispering about its dark secrets. Like, I would flip my shit if that is one of the 9 books in the Gas. Like, just a random crossover started happening.
The memory orb was nowhere in sight. "John tootin' you fell," Calamity retorted. "We had a hell of a time getting you up here, even after you went limp. Been worried sick. What the hell happened?" I looked towards the empty porch again. My instinct was to lie. But there wasn't a lie that wouldn't end up worrying my friends needlessly. I made a mistake. While I was waiting, I touched a memory orb. Only it was damaged. "You did what?" Calamity snapped. "On the porch? Lil Pip, I barely caught you." I cringed back, staring up at my Pegasus friend, my hooves pushing at the cloth on his cot as my back thumped softly against the wall. "You know, it's hard enough flying while you're carrying one pony. I can't do it with 2 when the second one is bucking and screaming like she's been eaten from the inside out," Calamity lashed out. Unpleasant nightmares about parasprites washed through my mind. "You nearly brought us all down. Velvet Remedy had to use a magic to carry you. And I'll remind you that she ain't nearly as good at that spell as y'all are." I turned a nervous look to Velvet. She was so exhausted that she could barely return my gaze. "I don't think after all she's been through last night that maybe she didn't deserve for you to make us all scared to death that you're dying from something in that smoke. Oh, goddess." The weight of what I'd thoughtlessly done to them crushed me down. I started to shake. The hurt from my shame and Calamity's righteous anger broke the floodgates, and suddenly the emotional deluge of the last half week consumed me. The horrors of Philadelphia slavery, the pit, the threat to homage, the slaughtered stable too.
Yeah,
Mother.
it's all come down on you. Lil Pip needs a fucking break. Like, as soon as the shit with the atomic bomb is over, like, she just needs like a few weeks of vacation and rest, cause like a person's mind cannot handle constant influx of trauma and stress. I'm associating human minds with equine ones, but given how equines are, they probably have less stress tolerance. Like, humans can take some shit, but we reach a point where we break, and in reality, I assume equines will actually have less like a sapient equine would actually have less tolerance. I am better not be developing a lisp. It's probably because I'm tired. Like, it's nearly 1 in the morning. Apparently, past 12 a.m., I just start talking with a lisp. God help me. But anyways, she needs a fucking break. Okay, she needs like cuddle with homage. She needs like kick a few back, maybe watch an old recording of a hoofball game. I don't know. But she needs time out, because if she keeps going, she's going to break. Like, there's only so much shit anyone can take. I mean, yeah, people have varying degrees of tolerance, but even the toughest people need a break. Or they will break themselves. I don't know. What I actually hope is going to happen is as soon as the atomic bomb and those immediate problems get taken care of, we're going to have... I hope that we would have at least a chapter or two, maybe 3, of just relaxation. Because it's the same for the readers. Like, we get built up and built up and built up. But, like, the calms are just as important as the climaxing it. I have a filthy mind. Fucking ponies. As the build-up and the climax. But the readers, as well as the characters going through this, would need a break. We need, like, calm moments to gather our thoughts, as well as let the characters rest. Because, ugh. Anyways, I wouldn't mind a chapter or two just fucking calm down. Please. Anyways, we're past the time limit. I'm really tired, and I don't know half of what I said. I'll edit this shit tomorrow.